Third down and 20.
We are going to be reacting to the Pro Football Focus top 10 safeties in the league because this is something that me and Steve were arguing over a little bit while we were talking about what we were going to say on the pod. So let's just get into it. Let me pull it up. For those watching on the tube, I'll bring up their list on the screen. I'll link to it in the description to the guys at Pro Football Focus. They do a lot of good work and a lot of cool stuff. So obviously, if you're checking out our pod, you probably know about them. But for some reason, if you live under a rock, they got a lot of good content. So go check them out. So this is from, I think it's from June, June 1st. So I think they updated this list slightly. But regardless, their top 10, I believe, is still exactly the same. So at number 1, they have Justin Simmons from the Denver Broncos. He's now the highest paid safety. I agree. I think Justin Simmons is a top 3 guy. No complaints from me there.
I put him in my top 3. I still I'm just so set that Derwin James is the best safety in the league.
I think part of their thing is that so they said on here, had it not been for injury,
they're going off of him being hurt, Yeah, I think he would be number 1 if he wasn't hurt.
They do have a little bit of that in there. So I guess we can for those listening, I'll run through their top 10 real quick. It's Justin Simmons from the Broncos at number 1, Harrison Smith and the Vikings number 2, John Johnson, former Rams, now Browns safety number 3, Marcus Williams, the Saints safety at number 4, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the Steelers safety at 5, Derwin James, who we were just talking about, the Chargers safety at number 6, Marcus May, the Jets safety at number 7, Jesse Bates, the Cincinnati Bengals free safety at number 8, Adrian Amos, the Packers safety at number 9, and Jamal Adams, the Seattle Seahawks safety at number 10. Okay, I guess we can just go through this here. Harrison Smith at number 2. I like Harrison Smith. I really don't have a huge complaint. I don't think I'd put him in my top 3, though. I really don't.
I think he would be in my top 5, but he would probably be at right at number 5 for me. I don't have a problem with them ranking him this high because he is a really good player, and there's some really good safeties. Because if you looked outside that top 10, I mean, they got Budda Baker ranked at 16. I mean, that's a guy I think I would easily put in my top 10.
Yeah, I think that for me, Budda Baker, I actually think he's my number 1 safety in the league.
He's in my top 3. I think my top 3 would go Derwin James, Minkah, and then I would go Budda in that way.
I think there's definitely a conversation because I like Derwin James a lot. I had him as a top 5 pick when he came out. So I don't disagree if you had him at number 1. I think that Minkah Fitzpatrick is definitely legit. And it's a little Steelers homer coming out of me. I think he could be number 1. And obviously Justin Simmons from the Denver Broncos, I think, has a good shot. And they rightfully so have him ranked number 1. But the fact that Budda Baker isn't in the top 5, isn't even in the top 10 is the biggest.
I think that's so much. I think that's just a really bad take.
Yeah, I don't see it. When I watched the Cardinals film, that's part of the reason why I just decided to say fuck it and take the over on the Cardinals because they got that guy. Man, I'm a big Steelers fan. Troy Polamalu is my favorite player ever. I see a whole lot of resemblance in the game instinctively, just how fast they play in Budda Baker and Troy. Man, I think that Budda Baker is just an all-around stud. I don't see how he's not in the top 10. So
it makes no sense.
Yeah, instead of going through the rest of the list, I'm going to kind of say guys that I would have in the top 10 over some of these other dudes. Before we get into the real, the guy that we really disagreed with on, I think that Jordan Poyer on the Buffalo Bills is definitely one of the more underrated safeties. Every time I watch the Bills, I'm always saying to myself, holy crap, that's an insane play by Jordan Poyer. He shows up every single game. To me, maybe I have him just outside the top 10, but man, I would really think I have him in the top 10. Eddie Jackson is a guy. They have him at 23. I think that's ridiculous.
Oh, man. I'm scrolling down. I'm looking. Eddie Jackson at 23, I think that's just really disrespectful.
Jeremy Chin also as the last safety, I think is a little ridiculous. He's more of a linebacker though.
I don't think I would have him any higher on this list, but I like how they give a shout out to Adrian Amos on the Packers because I think he's definitely one of the more underrated safeties in the league. Because whenever I've watched Packers game and I root against them, but I can easily tell Adrian Amos is one of their most key players on this defense. Besides maybe Jair Alexander, he is just such a pivotal point in that secondary and makes a lot of great plays and helps them out on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Amos is definitely really good. They picked him up
Especially
from Chicago, right? They picked him up a couple of years ago. Yeah, because I had always thought that for sure, him and Eddie Jackson together in 2018, I thought was just nasty, right? That was that insane Bears defense that year.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the fact that Eddie Jackson is so low on this list is still mind-boggling to me. They have him all the way down at 23. I mean, there's a lot of really good safeties on this list. So it's, there's going to be a couple guys that miss out. So I guess, all right, more underrated guys. Justin Reed for the Texans. I know it's the Texans and they suck, but
that's their only good player on defense.
Him and they got that linebacker too.
Oh, and the linebacker. Yeah.
So he's pretty good too. I think he's pretty underrated. Basically any Baltimore Ravens defensive back I think is underrated. They have some legit ass D backs. Juan Thornhill from the Chiefs I think is pretty underrated. I like
they have Antoine Winfield at 21. I think I'd put him up a little higher because especially during their when they went into that peak Super Bowl run, he played. I mean, alongside Devin White, they were two big reasons of why that defense really kicked it off. I mean, he's a beast in the run game.
Yeah. Who are there? There's a safety I'm trying to think of. Kevin Byard, I think is really, really, really top tier player. I think he definitely dropped off a little bit last year. I mean, the whole Titans defense kind of did, but this is a dude that's legit.
Yeah.
Bill's got some good D-backs. I guess we can go into the guy that we disagree with the most, and that's Tyrann Mathieu. I truly believe that Tyrann Mathieu is a top 10 safety. They have him at 11. You do not. I want to hear why, simply because every time I watch the Chiefs on tape, we're going to put the pressure of our defense on Tyrann Mathieu to go make a play, and he comes up a whole lot. So I don't understand.
He's very versatile. He is very versatile. I'll give him that. I just think everyone in the media just hypes him up and has this fascination for him, and it just gives him more credit than how good of a player he is. Has he made some insane plays, especially in the Super Bowl or something like that, in prime time? Yeah, but I think everybody takes on just those big plays and just automatically throws it into he's an elite safety. I think he hurts him sometimes, especially in the coverage game.
Yeah, I don't know. I have him in there. One dude that's left off of this list, because McLeod for me is a guy I think is underrated. I don't think he's necessarily a top tier guy. I think they may consider this dude a corner, and that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But if he's listed as a safety under PFF, because he kind of plays a hybrid role. I kind of think of him more so as a safety, they probably consider him as a nickel corner, but if they consider him a safety and have him left off of the top 32 safeties in the league, I think that that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because to me, if I'm making a team, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, not only I think is a top 10 safety, I think that there's an argument that he's a top 10 defensive back in the NFL. Every single time I watch these Saints games, it's dude, this guy is ridiculous. Dude, he not only takes your lunch, he eats it too. And then he takes your lunch money. This guy is absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy that PFF wouldn't have him in here because they tend to like Saints players because I think they follow kind of more of that PFF guideline,
Well, I think that they may have him listed as a corner. So I'm going to hold off my what the hell are you doing, PFF? Let's get into the guys, though, that we disagree with on the list. And the first one, this is a guy that we disagree with a lot on, is John Johnson. They have him at 3 on this list. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. He's a good player, but it's really easy to look good as a safety when you're on the team with easily the best pass rush in the NFL, or like at least top 2. And yes, you can say that that's the argument for Minkah Fitzpatrick, but if you watch the Steelers games, dude, he is the guy as the defensive back on the Steelers. Like, he's making plays left, right, and center. He wasn't even the guy on the Rams. Good player. I don't think he's top 3 though. I'm not even sure I have him top 10 for me. He might be around top 10. But I don't think he's top 5.
He's in my top 10. He's in my top 10. Maybe creeping around top 5 if I really think about it. Because you're right. I mean, Aaron Donald makes a lot of people look pretty damn good. You know, look at Leonard Floyd. Look at Dante Fowler. You know, players like that, especially on the other side of the ball. But I don't know. I think John Johnson is, especially now in this Cleveland setting, and where, you know, they have a really good defense and he can he's the guy in the secondary. I'm telling you, he's really good in coverage. I really like what I see out of John Johnson, and I think he earned his contract for Cleveland, and I think he will definitely be, like, he'll earn it and plus more.
Yeah, I like John Johnson. Don't get me wrong, but I'm taking Derwin James over him. I'm taking Minkah Fitzpatrick over him. I'm taking Budda Baker over him. I'll probably take Jesse Bates over him. I'm taking Justin Simmons over him. Like, I don't have him in the top. And that's guys that I can, like, guarantee. There are other dudes that I think are definitely, like, in the question. So I don't have him as a top 5 guy. The other guy, so, like, John Johnson, I agree he's underrated. I don't have him in my top 5, though. Another guy that kind of fits that mold that I agree with PFF that he's underrated, but I don't have him that high, is Marcus May at 7 from the Jets. Good player, underrated player. I agree. And because he's on the Jets defense, he's going to be overlooked and undeservedly crapped on. I don't think he's the 7th best safety in the NFL, though. I really don't. Like, you're gonna argue with me? Who would I rather have? Tyrann Mathieu? I'm taking Tyrann Mathieu over him. Jamal Adams, questionable, just because it's almost who do you want? Like, because Marcus May is better in coverage.
Yeah,
Jamal Adams is just a better playmaker.
Yeah, it's like what your defense needs in those two players, you know, like.
But I think I'm taking Poyer over him. I don't think Budda Baker easily.
I just still don't agree with Budda being that far down the list.
Eddie Jackson, I think, is like, man, yeah, he's been a little inconsistent, but the dude still makes plays. You got some Patriots D-backs that I think could be in there. I don't know. I think that Marcus May, for me, is in that, like, that clump of safeties that is maybe like tier 3 for me. I don't have him as, like, right now for PFF, they have him as like a tier 2 guy. I don't think I have him as a tier 2 guy. I think I have him clumped more in like the teens, the mid-teens for me.
He had a really excellent season last year, especially after trading Jamal Adams. Like, he really did shine for that trash team. And, like, you could kind of just tell he was the best player on that defense, but the thing is, maybe the Jets kind of, like, agree with you. We don't think he is this elite level at safety because we have to see it again. Because, like, they didn't sign him to that big contract, and they franchise tagged him, right?
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. He had a good year last year, but I'm not putting him at number 7. I think you'll be hard pressed to find GMs to put him number 7.
I would like to talk to somebody at PFF and be like, you cannot tell me that Marcus May is better than Budda Baker. Like, you can't. There's no way you can say that with a straight face.
Dude,
like,
it's just you can go down the next, like, 5 players. Jesse Bates. I'm easily taking Jesse Bates over Marcus May. Adrian Amos. Mm-hmm. I think I'm easily taking Amos over Marcus May.
Amos.
Jamal Adams is definitely questionable, and I think it depends on your scheme fit, but if you're talking about the role that they play on a defense, Jamal Adams as a box safety is insane. The guy against you saw it against the Falcons week 1. The dude, like, single-handedly stuffed the Falcons offense, like, drive after drive in the red zone.
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, he definitely does have his
His
downfalls,
flaws.
Jamal
Yeah.
Adams. But for his role, he's great. Tyrann Mathieu, yeah, he has his. I still think that Tyrann Mathieu is more dynamic. Kevin Byard to me, yeah, if you're going off of last season, yes, Marcus May had a better season last year than Kevin Byard did. But from a GM's perspective, like who am I taking? I still think I'm taking Kevin Byard over Marcus May. Just like if we had to pick between the two players, the Bills safeties, like I think I'm taking Poyer over him.
My
We're at
God.
Buda Baker easily. Like we're getting down to like the Kareem Jackson, Darnell Savage range, which is like 17 and 18. So yeah, I think that Marcus May lies more in that mid-teens, like 15, 14, somewhere around there, not 7.
Yeah, it's probably a little too high for Marcus May. But like, I think they are just basing it off last year. If I, I don't know if he would be able to do this over a long
Yeah, but
duration of time.
how didn't Derwin James not play?
Yeah, but Derwin James is Derwin James.
All right, yeah, but if you're basing it off of last year, you can't put Derwin James isn't even in the top 30. I don't think
I'm not saying they're basing it off last year, but yeah, you're right. To your point, you are right. Like you could call him out like that. Well, Derwin James hasn't played. Like, why is it just 1 year thing? You know?
Well, yeah, like listen, I don't disagree that like okay, if it's a 1 year thing, that's cool. Like he deserves that 7 spot. But you can't put Derwin James at 6. The dude didn't play a snap. Like so we're obviously
I
not
guess
doing
they just
it off of last
they just
year.
they have to just value Derwin James that high, which I do too. Like I would
I
have him
do
in the one
too.
spot. I would have him in
Yeah,
the one spot. But like,
if we're doing it off of pure value perspective, like yeah, if it weren't for injury, he could be higher than 6. Fuck yeah, like put him higher than 6. Like go ahead. No, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you there.
yeah, it's
Like,
your
dude,
damn list. Go ahead.
like okay, maybe you have him at 2 or 3. God forbid, but like, fuck, he's insane. I don't disagree there at all. Okay, so any other underrated safeties for you, Steed?
I think we kind of hit on them all, especially on the list. Buda Baker definitely was a huge one for
Well,
me. I think
Jordan
that's really
Fuller, I
dumb.
think, is a guy that will ascend into the list.
I easily think Jordan Fuller would be in the. Yeah, he'll. Is he not on the list?
I don't think so. I'm not seeing him. Like the thing
I
is,
thought for
it's
sure they had.
weird with
But
how they
like,
because like Jeremy Chin to me is more of a linebacker than a safety, right? That's kind of like saying that Isaiah Simmons is still a safety.
yeah,
I'm not going to say Isaiah. So like, A, having him at 32, I think is ridiculous. B, I just wouldn't classify him as like if we're not going to classify Gardner Johnson as a safety. That's weird that we're saying that Jeremy Chin is a safety. I understand there's a lot of positional ambiguity at the safety position because there's like
yeah.
4 different types of safeties on this list.
I don't know. I think like Jordan Fuller kind of deserves to be ranked over a Devin McCourty. Like I understand McCourty's been
I don't know. McCourty's good, dude.
he's been really good, but I mean, I'm looking at two of the end of the spectrum here. I'm looking at Jordan Fuller, who's just coming off his rookie year, and then I'm looking at Devin McCourty, who's 34. They say he's almost 34 years old.
Well, there's another dude. It's because they have Kari Willis on here. It's the other Colt safety, the young kid. I think he was a rookie last year. What's his name? Julian Blackman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Julian Blackman, like that guy is great. I watched the Colts defense a lot. Colts defense was phenomenal last year, especially against the Jets that one game where they just destroyed Sam Darnold. When I was doing my Sam Darnold analysis, oh my god, dude, Julian Blackman is unbelievably talented. That kid is going to be good for a long time. Yeah, he was a 3rd-round pick in 2020. He was a rookie last year. Dude, Julian Blackman is freaking insane. I don't know how he's not in the top 32. Like, to be completely honest, I think he might be like top 25 for me, maybe even top 20. From like,
oh god, okay,
as a safety perspective, dude, the guy was insane last year. He was so good, like defensive rookie of the year level good.
And see, that just makes me think it's not like that. It can't be a 1-year thing, right?
No, it's not. It's not. We already discussed Derwin James would be on if it's a 1-year thing. So I think that overall, looking at this PFF list, they definitely hit on some guys.
I don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it at all. Like Justin Simmons, I think there's clear shot he could be the number one. And like, yeah, Marcus Williams is an underrated guy. Like, I
Very.
think that they take the underrated thing a little too seriously, though.
Oh yeah, they put the underrated too much in their formula when they put them through the PFF grind.
Well, yeah, they're like, okay, this guy's underrated, so we're gonna throw him like super high in the list. Like, okay, that's fine if you believe in him and they post good PFF grades, but like, I don't know. I think it's always been a thing with PFF that I think that they do the linemen a lot better than they do the defensive backs for some reason. Maybe because it's harder to judge the defensive backs from a grading standpoint, and
yeah, maybe
you kind of just have to use a little bit of like, hey, this guy's role was this, not this, and like, hey, this dude just made a play when he shouldn't have. Yeah, you kind of have to use a little more of like a scouting mindset instead of like an analytical mindset when looking at these guys. Whereas with like running backs and linemen, it's kind of you know the analytics just works better for their role in their position. But there are some guys I think they definitely hit, and then there are some guys it's like, dude, I think that he's like a good 10 spots too high or too low, even more sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's just like with every list, you're not going to agree with all of them. I think they did.
Yeah, but Buda Baker not in the top 10. I think
that's my biggest that's my biggest problem is because I'd have Buda Baker in the top 5 like easily. Probably in my top 3, right there around with.
Yeah,
Buda.
Same. I think I'd have him in my top 3. Like, dude, I'm hard pressed to not put him at 1.
Yeah, like they didn't even put him in their top 15. Like I would just love to have a conversation with someone who works there and be like, there is no shot you believe that Buda Baker is not a top 10 safety in the league.
I don't know. I think in general they definitely knocked a lot of the more like run stuffing safeties in favor of better coverage safeties.
I mean, you look back at Jamal Adams trade last year, everybody was saying he was the best safety, and he's all the way at 10,
Yeah.
They definitely value the coverage safety a little more.